Welcome to this Selenium WebDriver tutorial on Selenium Java. In this Selenium tutorial, I will show you a Selenium project example. I will use a Selenium framework using Java, page object model, read Excel Java code, and JUnit testing. The tasks in this Selenium Java project example are test case and test data analysis and planning. Then Selenium framework identification and configuration, design pattern implementation. I will use page object model in Selenium, read Excel data in Selenium for data driven testing, and JUnit testing in Java. Then write the test automation, the operations and validations, and implement the data driven testing after writing the test automation with hard coded values. Then implement Selenium Java Logging and Selenium Java Screenshot, and finally test results analysis and scheduling the test case to be run. Now I will show you the application under test. So what you can do is you can go to my blog software testing space using Google. This is the blog software testing space. Now this is the home page of the blog. There is a link for demo web application. So click on it. Now this demo web application is called Journey Planner. So basically it does a simple calculation. What you need to do is you can enter any distance. For example, I will enter 1000 miles and an average travel speed of, let's say, 50 miles an hour, and going to travel for 8 hours every day. Then click on the calculate travel days button. It will show the calculation that traveling every day for 8 hours, it is going to take 2.5 days to complete this journey of 1000 miles. There is a reset values button also. So if you click on it, it will reset all these fields. Now the first task in the project is test case and test data analysis and planning. So these are the test cases. So the first column has the step numbers, then the second column has the steps, and the third column has the expected results. So there is one test case. So basically it says open the Chrome browser, navigate to Journey Planner application, and type a total distance to travel, speed, select time to travel every 24 hours from the drop down. Click on the calculate travel days button. It says the result will be rounded off to 4 decimal places. Then click on the reset values button. These fields will become empty and drop down will take the value of 1 hour, and repeat all these steps for the different rows. Now this is the test data. It has 4 columns. The first column is for the distance, the second column for speed, third column for the travel time, and fourth column for the expected result. The first row is the test data, and the distance is 1000 miles, speed is 100 miles an hour, travel time is 1 hour per day, and the expected result is 10. Now there is another test case whose ID is Journey Planner 2, and it says repeat the steps 1 through 6 of test case ID Journey Planner 1 for the remaining rows. Click on the calculate travel days button, and now the result should be an error message. There are some values. Now distance, if I put as 200 and the speed as 0 and some value in travel time, it is going to give the error message, please enter a valid average travel speed, because a travel speed of 0 is an invalid test data. So these are the test data for invalid tests. Now since the two test cases have common steps, it is easier to write a single Selenium Java script in this Selenium Java project. The next task is Selenium framework identification and configuration. I will use MaxTAF Cloud, the free Selenium automation framework. Now MaxTAF is already configured with Selenium 4, so I need not do any configuration. Now the next task is design pattern implementation. I've created a free account in MaxTAF and I'm logging in now. Select the project that I already created and click on cases. Now in my page object model tutorial, I already created a page object model of the demo web application journey planner. So this is that case. If you haven't watched my page object model tutorial, please watch that. But for this project, what I am going to do is I am going to duplicate this case and then do the remaining tasks on that case. So I'll click on the duplicate button, give the name as Selenium underscore project underscore example and click on the duplicate button. Now cases, and this is the duplicated case. I want to change the name of this case, so I'm going to call it Selenium project example, and copy this also and click on the save button. It says case is updated. Now I can go to the script tab and change the class name also. And give the class name as Selenium underscore project underscore example. Save the Selenium Java code. Now I want to compile it to see if there are any errors or not. So far the case is compiled. JUnit is already imported and it is already implemented, like @test annotation, @before annotation, @after annotation. Now I will complete the task of design pattern implementation. So page object model framework is partially implemented. Now let me go to this class AppPage. Let me put a single line comment. Implement the page object model framework completely. Now it has some variables at the class level: WebDriver, driver, and then there is a bunch of buys. I need to work with more web elements, so result, calculate by, and result by. Now this is the ID of the calculate travel days button and this is the ID of the result. Now what I need is, I also need the ID of the reset button. So let me add another by here, private by, and just like the other variables, I'm going to call it reset by is equal to by library dot id, and the ID of the reset button I saw before is called reset. Then the ID of the result div, where it gives the calculated value, is already there, but the ID of the error message is not there. So I'm going to need one more by variable, private by, and I'm going to call it error by is equal to by.id, and the ID of that error message div is message. Now this class AppPage already has the calculateTravelDays method. Now I'll need to write a new method for resetting the values. So I have to take some variables out of it. at the class level, so I can use them in both the methods for calculateTravelDays as well as the resetValues method. Now in order to create the variables that are private, I have to put private, and these are all going to be web elements. Private data type is web element, and one I need is the distance box, then I need speed box, then calculate button, reset button, result, div, and error. And for the drop down I need another private variable at the class level, private select, and I'm going to call it travel time. Now this is the constructor because it has the same name as the class name. So this method is automatically executed by Java whenever an object of AppPage class is created. So here I can find all these web elements. So first I can find the distance box. Copy this. So distance box is equal to driver dot find element, and I can find it by the by variable, which is distance by. Then second is a speed box. So copy this variable name. Speed box is equal to driver dot find element, and the by id value is stored in speed by. Then travel time, copy this, paste the variable name here. So travel time is equal to, for the drop down we need new select, and the element we have to give driver dot find element, driver dot find element, and this is the travel time by. Now for all these input web elements, statements have been written. Now I need to write the statements for the calculate button, reset button, result, and error. The calculate button, copy the variable name, paste it here in the constructor. Calculate button is equal to driver dot find element, calculate by. Then reset button, copy the variable name similar to the calculate button. Reset button is equal to driver dot find element, and use the id as reset by. Then for the result, result is equal to driver dot find element and use result by. And for the error, web element is equal to driver dot find element and use this error by. So I've written some code. Let me save it and compile it to see if there are any errors or not. The case is compiled, so it is looking good so far. Now in the calculate travel days method, some statements are already there. So the constructor has already found all these web elements, so I don't need to call any find element methods here. Instead of driver.findElement, I can put distance box dot send keys, and the value is going to come from this parameter d. Speed box I don't need to find, so instead of this I can put speed box dot send keys, and the value is going to come from this parameter s. Then travel time is already there, so I don't need to write all this select travel time etc. So I can put travel time dot, and it has 3 different ways of selecting it. I can select by index or value or by visible text. So only the values are given in the test data, so I'll select by value, and the value is going to come from this h parameter. Then I don't need this. Then calculate button is already there, so I can just type calculate button dot click method, and I don't want to return this data because sometimes it is going to return the result and sometimes it is going to return the error message. So I'm going to create a variable for the result text. String result text is equal to, I have the result web element, and dot get text gives a value in that web element. And similarly for the error text, I'm going to create another variable, string error text is equal to error web element dot get text. Depending on which one is populated, so either the result text will be populated or the error text will be populated. So I have to return that data. So I'm going to need a Java if statement. The Java if statement, if followed by bracket, if error text. In Java there is a method called isEmpty. If error text is empty, that means there was no error message, so I can return the result text. Return result text. Else, I don't need to put curly braces because I just have one statement in the if block, and same for else also, I don't need to put curly braces. Else return error text and semicolon. Now this is the completed calculate travel days method. I also need a method to reset the values, so let me write that one. So here the return type is going to be an array or string, a string, and the name of the method I am going to put as resetValues. It's not going to have any parameters because it is just going to reset the values. Write the code of the method within the curly braces. So first thing I have to do is the operation, which is reset button dot click. Then let me create a string array in Java. a string, and I'm going to call it JData for journey planner data. String JData is equal to new. We have to initialize the array in Java, and it is going to have 3 elements in it. So the first element I can get by JData 0. The array indexes start from 0. JData 0 is equal to distance box dot get text, because after resetting the values I want to return all those values to the test method. Then JData 1 is the second element in the Java array, is equal to speedbox dot get text. Then the last element is JData 2 is equal to travel time dot get first selected option. It is a single select drop down, so get first selected option is going to give that selected value dot get text. So now this JData array is complete. I can write the return statement, return JData. So that completes the reset values. Now I will do the task of write test automation. So let me go to the test method. This is the test method. So it has some statements already. Driver.manage.window.maximize is going to maximize the browser window. Then it creates a home page object. Then logging is implemented here as I showed in my page object model tutorial. Then AppPage A is equal to H is the home page object dot navigate app. So this is going to create an object of the app page. Now after this, I don't need hard-coded values like this, but I want to write separate statements so that I can easily convert it to data-driven testing later. So I'm going to create a variable of type string. String distance is equal to, and put the distance as 1000. Then another variable string speed is equal to, I'm going to put speed as 100 miles an hour. Then string hours is equal to, let me put 1. Now I don't need this statement. Now Selenium logging. Now I want to log what is the test data being used and what is the expected result. So for that I can put mxservice.add logline and testing the application with the values and the first value is distance. And then speed, and then I'll put a comma, then hours, and then I'll put another comma, and then in fact this is expecting, and whatever is the expected result. Now this is a long line, so testing, I'll just put testing with the values, and let me also put the expected result here, string expected result is equal to, now what is the expected result here? So I have 1000 miles divided by average travel speed of 100 divided by 1 travel hours per day, so it's going to take 10 days. So this is the value 10. Then now let me get the result, single line comment, so string res for result is equal to a object dot calculate travel days, and I want to calculate it with distance variable, this variable here. Then for the second argument I'll give speed, this variable here, and for the third argument I'll give hours, this variable. Log the result also, so same mx service dot add log line, and here I'm going to put result from the application under test is res. The screenshot code is already implemented in the page object model tutorial, so I can take a screenshot here. What I need to do is to do the validation in the test automation. So now this res variable is either going to contain the result of the calculation or it's going to contain an error message. So I need to do the validation of this with the expected result. So I'm going to write Java if statement, if res dot index of, and index of method is used to find one string within another. So within the res variable's value I need to find expected result. If res dot index of expected result is equal to -1, this means it was unable to find it. Then I can use JUnit assertion, assert dot assert equals, and give the expected value as true and the actual value as false. So this is going to fail the test case if in the result expected result is not found. I don't need all of these, and this comment I can place here where the validation started. Now for the second test case I need to reset the values. So let me create a array of strings, string, and here also I'm going to call it JData is equal to, initialize it, new string with 3 items in it, and I'm going to populate JData from the resetValues method of the AppPage object. A dot resetValues, and I can take a screenshot here. So for that I can copy this line after resetting the values, just to be sure that the values are actually reset in the application under test, and I can log these values also. mx service dot add log line, and right here post reset the values and give the values. So the values are going to be from the array JData, so I can print JData 0, then comma, then JData 1, another comma, and JData 2. Now I've written some code. Let me save it and compile it. I just want to make sure that there are no errors. I've saved it. Click on the compile button to compile it. So case is compiled. Now Selenium testing of this Selenium live project. So I can click on the run button and it should run with these values: 1000 miles as the distance, 100 as the speed, and 1 hour travel time per day, and the expected result is 10. So click on the run button and click run again. Now MaxTAF Cloud has started the case execution, and it also shows the video, but I have the log and I have the screenshots, so I can do the test results analysis from there also. So here it is saying testing with the values 1000, 100 and 1, and expecting 10 as the result, and result from the AUT is total travel days is 10 days, and post reset the values are empty string and 1 hour. So let me verify that using the screenshots. So double click on it. So here it ran with 1101 hour, and total travel days is 10 days, and after reset the values were blanked out. So this is working now. Next, how to read data from Excel sheet in Selenium WebDriver using Java. Now I hard coded this test data. Distance is 1000, speed is 100, travel time is 1 hour per 24 hours, and expected result as 10 days. Now I need to implement the data driven testing. So implementing data driven testing in the MaxTAF framework using Java is very simple. So for that, let me go to cases, and in my previous tutorial on Selenium Java Excel read, I implemented it using parameters. So I'm going to click on that case, and here the parameters are there. So let me open this box here and copy these parameters from here, cancel, go back to cases and open Selenium project example, and click on this edit icon here. So in this Excel sheet, the column names are distance, speed, travel time and expected result. Distance, speed, travel time and expected result. So in MaxTAF, what we need to do is give some variable name, which is the parameter name, is equal to $, and within curly braces we have to write mx.datadriven.name dot and give the name of that column in Excel. In MaxTAF, we can also use the column number, so then instead of name we have to give column. So within the script, these parameters are going to be called as D, S, T and E. So I have to replace these parameter names instead of the hard-coded values. Then what MaxTAF will do is it will open the Excel sheet and it will run the case for every row in that Excel sheet. So let me save this. Now go to the script tab and go to the test method which had these values. So it was written string distance is equal to 1000. Now instead of a hard-coded 1000 value, I can read that parameter called D. So for that I have to write mx service dot, there is a get param method, get param, and the name of my parameter is D for the distance. And let me copy this and paste it for getting the speed parameter. The name of that speed parameter is S. In order to get the hours, I can create a string variable, string hours is equal to, and the parameter name here is T, and for expected result the parameter name is E. Now I want to save it and compile it to see if there are any errors or not. The case is compiled. So what MaxTAF is going to do is it is going to run the entire case for every row once. So let me run it now. Selenium testing, and in the advanced I have to give the data driven file. It is jptestdata.xlsx and click on the run button. MaxTAF Cloud has started the case execution and it is able to read the Excel file because it has put the child runs. So there is going to be one run for every row in the Excel sheet. Let me click on go to run details page, and there I can see it in detail. So it is Selenium project example, it is started, and here are all the child runs. They are waiting at this time, and let me show more rows so we can see here. So you see the IDs start from 2 for the child runs because the parent run has the ID of 1. So this case is completed. So let me open this child case here, and let me look at the log. So this should be the first row, 1000, 100, 1 and 10. So testing with the values 1000, 100, 1 and expecting 10, and result from the AUT is total travel days is 10 days, which is matching, and that is a pass. And post reset the values are empty string and 1 hour. And confirm this from the screenshots also. So 1101 and 10 days, this is looking okay. Let me go to parent and see another one that has been completed. So let me take the next one. And this should be 1108 and 1.25 as the test data. So I can look in the log. 1108 expecting 1.25, and from the AUT it's also getting 1.25. Now I am interested in this one here where it is 200, 1 million and 12, and this should fail actually. So let me again go back to parent. And look at all these child runs together. I paused the video so that all of these could complete, and this one has failed. So where the speed was given as 1 million, so let me click on it, and the actual result should be 0, but I have given 123. So testing with the values 200, 1 million and 12, expecting 123, but from the application under test it is coming as 0 days. That's why it has failed this particular test data. But this is not a defect in the application under test, this is a defect in the test data. So I can update the test data and this test data defect would go away. And let me go to parent. So the next task is to schedule it. I have already shown how to schedule a test case or a test suite using the schedule. So that's all in this Selenium project example. You should try to do this project yourself for your practice. Please view all the Selenium tutorials in this Selenium training. Thank you.